We are live.
Here, Juan might go. We'll sit down right
All
behind
right,
you.
guys. We're live and ready to roll here.
And it'll be one of our former students or something.
Good morning. This is Bill Burrows here at the Wabash County Museum. Here we are in the theater, and we are going to have another episode of Talking Sports. And this morning, well, first of all, Coach McClure is here. Jim Landrum's here. You notice Rick Harness isn't here. I just texted him and he said, "Oh, I forgot to text you. I'm babysitting this morning, so I won't be there." That's like
grandpa duties.
Grandpa duties. So anyway, this morning we've got representatives here from the Wabash Express Football Team, and Steve Jeffers is sitting right here between us on purpose so he can't get away. And I'm gonna let you introduce everybody that's here, because there are several guys here today.
Okay, along with myself, Steve Jeffers, that played with the Express, we have Trevor Tipton, Dan Schneider, John Parks, Joe Ryan, Dave Litchfield, Dave Snyder, and Alan Keene.
Other than the 1986 Wabash baseball team, I don't know that we've had this many guys at the same time here to be involved in this, have we?
No, I don't think
That's
so.
fun.
That's the biggest guy, bunch guys.
Love it.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah. So let's get started, Stephen. Wabash Express Football Team was started by a guy here, a local guy by the name of Pete Rich, that we all know very well. Pete's no longer with us, but all of us had a lot of exposure to Pete and guys just like him. And I'll let you guys kind of talk about how this all evolved. And I know that there was, if I'm not mistaken, before there was actually a season, there was an exhibition season, correct?
Yes.
Right.
1979.
Mhm.
We played the Anderson Packers, Kokomo
Chiefs.
Chiefs, Lafayette. Did we play
Generals.
Generals?
Oh, yeah. Wayne played with them, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's Steve's brother.
yeah.
Yeah, Wayne played with them.
Yeah.
We played somebody twice because their franchise was struggling, and I think that might have been Anderson that we played twice.
I didn't play the exhibition year, so I can't answer that question, but
Were you guys first year? Well, this whole thing got started from the Freaks and Fuzz game up in Fort Wayne, correct? Isn't that? Yeah, you guys played Nip. And I think this is where Pete got the idea to start a team, was seeing that. Because that went on for several years. And probably recruited you guys off out of there, I'm sure. He was a good recruiter.
Now,
He was a
Pete-
salesman.
Pete told me a lot of years ago, Pete told me that he was involved with an amateur adult football team like this before. And it wasn't, he didn't run it, but that's where he got the idea.
Okay.
And I don't know, he didn't go into great detail because you knew Pete, he'd get off on a tangent and you'd hardly ever get back.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things that, to be honest, that's one of the things that made Pete interesting and lovable.
Mm-hmm.
But I just know, Jim and I were playing a lot of Rick, we were playing a lot of softball at that point, so we weren't really paying that much attention to football, but I know all of you guys were, and specifically 1, 2, 3, 4 that I knew of. So again, this is nothing more than a discussion. I want information. I want to hear what you guys know.
Well, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
we started there in '79, and I was telling Dave coming over, there was an ad in the Plain Dealer about a new team. So, January 1st, I called him. I was watching football on TV. What better time when there's a football game on? I called him at night, and he said, "Yeah, we're going to meet on Wednesday at, was it the little elementary by the hospital?" That
Oh,
that would have been Eastwood.
Eastwood. We met at Eastwood on Wednesday night for a get-together, and basketball came out, and we were playing basketball, and you're meeting guys, "Hey, how you doing?" what is your name, you know, and that kind of thing. Because he said, well, yeah, come on over and try out. So we had basketball, that was the tryout.
In that gym.
Yeah. You're
Yeah.
all playing, aren't you? So
That gym was about as big as this theater.
that's how that got kicked off. Wow. That's how that started.
Yeah, we went to that gym several times that winter, and I think we actually might have started doing a few football drills.
Yeah, running around.
Yeah, but it's, I just don't have a totally vivid memory of 40-some years
Do
ago.
any of us? Are we that good?
You know, I just remember going over there and doing that, you know. And there were a lot of guys that showed up that never played. I remember
Yes.
that. You know, because
Did you say never played?
That never came back.
That
Oh, that never came back.
yeah, that
Oh,
never
okay.
came back.
They played
Yeah.
basketball with us, but they never.
Yeah. Because, you know, once the reality sets in, and because we played that season, well, we started the 1st of July.
Our games were,
Yeah, games,
but we started in like May.
May,
May,
practicing
we were-
twice a week at the high school. Then, and so I remember playing where they would give you timeouts every so often during a quarter, and you go out the field to spray hoses. I weighed myself for a game one time. I started at 170 something and finished at 160. I mean, you just lost that much, you know, and it was 100-degree heat. You guys remember it, you know? But hey, it's football.
Yeah,
You
July,
know?
August, and September on these schedules, right?
Yeah,
That's when we
yeah.
played.
They tried to be-
Playoffs really in early October, so yeah. It's not the normal fall football where it's a little cooler.
I was gonna ask.
To help you out on the exhibition games that we played, I got an article that says what we had. Was the Greenwood Cowboys, and I think Maryville was a team that struggled because they were kind of a tentative one.
Did we play Bearville that first year?
I believe, well, it was tentative, is what it says. Then
Yeah.
we played the Kokomo and Anderson Packers. Those were our expeditions.
But we did a couple, because we didn't play, I'm sure we didn't play Greenwood.
Right. That doesn't ring a bell, but I don't remember myself, but that's what the article says.
But we did play Greenwood later
Later,
on.
they became the Indy Stars.
Was that
Playing out in
the
Greenwood.
the team that played down at
Southport.
Yeah, Southport.
Southport? Okay. Well, who played at
Arsenal Tech.
Indiana Central or University of Indianapolis? We went down there and played one time.
The Bears and South Stars, but there wasn't, the Warriors.
The
The
Warriors.
Warriors down there.
Yeah. Yeah, there's those bunch of weightlifter guys, aren't they? Yeah.
South Stars became the weightlifters too, but yeah.
Yeah.
Steve brought me in a lot of just copies of of clips and stuff like that. Just like I said, I remembered some of it, but looking through that and the pictures, my God, we're old. But but at the same time, it's like you guys. I mean, you were competitive. This wasn't something that all of a sudden, oh, we go 0-10 for the season and then build from there. You guys were fairly competitive right from the jump. I was kind of impressed.
Snyder boys.
Yeah, well, speaking of Snyder boys, I started teaching at Oak Hill in '75. And, you know, Jim Law was the football coach there, and I did some junior high coaching for him. And we're going to play Southwood. You know, watch these Snyder boys. You guys were on his scouting report. And you know, then I heard that you guys were playing on this Express team. I thought, I'm going to go watch that. I know there's at least a couple good players on there. Then old Steve here, he worked at the Custer Farms, and I knew he would get out there and give it a good shot.
You know, we really had pretty good attendance of people that come to watch those ball games.
It really was. And I tell you what, Wabash High School was by far the best field we play on.
And that brings up another question. I know you played your home games at Alumni Field, but didn't you also play at like either Northfield or Southwood a little bit?
Played Southwood once.
Tried it at Southwood once because Pete was a salesman, you know,
Oh, yeah.
a guy that could market, and I went out there to see if that would, and I don't think it panned out that we got any better attendance and I think he got a really good deal from Wabash on using their facilities, because we used their practice field.
Well, there's a reason for that.
Oh, I don't know.
The reason was Paul Gunderman had been the Wabash High School head coach. He was probably done by then, but he was still the AD.
Yeah,
He and Pete were really, really close. They were like brothers.
yeah.
So back in the days when you didn't worry about liability and you didn't worry about who was watching or whatever, Paul just probably said, and if he was still alive, I'm sure I could get him to remember it. He probably said, "Here, Pete, you know where everything is. You've already got keys. Light it up."
Yeah, because we were given use of the locker room
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So yeah,
Alumni Field was a good field, great
it's a
turf
very
field.
good field.
Natural turf field. Beats the heck out of Indianapolis Arsenal Tech.
Played down at
Half
Hal.
the field was
Was it-
cinders and
Well, and broken glass.
yeah,
Yeah.
160-watt light bulb in the locker room underneath the bleachers.
And the rats.
Mold and rats, and everybody's outside getting dressed.
No hot water.
Yeah, you're right. I remember that.
No hot water.
Yeah.
Hot water.
Cold plunge after the game.
You just want to get out of
I
there.
just want to get out of there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Back about, and this is a little off the subject, but it will trigger where I'm going. Back about 88, 89, I was coaching baseball, playing softball with Steve, but coaching baseball, and we took an all-star team to Terre Haute for the state championship, and played on a field that was cinders. The infield was old cinders. And all of a sudden, Steve Furness and I were coaching this team, and we looked at each other and realized that these kids had never played on a bad field.
Oh.
You know what?
Yeah.
We're from a farm community here, and I don't care if you're talking, I mean, in Wabash County, Northfield, Southwood, Wabash, Manchester College, they're good fields here.
Mhm.
And they're well taken care of even back then.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, you probably get to those facilities where you got rats and 60-watt light bulbs and all that and think, whoa, we got it pretty good.
Guns.
You know, I'll speak for myself, but I think all of us can share the same feelings that we came from different backgrounds. Some were just out of high school, some had gone to college and played there. But the love to play football was still deep inside of us. And I played 4 years at Taylor University, and I thought I was done until I set out for a year. And I realized there was just this driving force between all of us that we needed to play again. And it didn't matter where we were playing. I mean, we could have played on Tech Arsenal where there was broken pop bottles and beer bottles out in the field. Didn't matter to us at all. We just wanted to play. We could play it out in the parking lot as far as that goes. And so I valued that, you know, as a 23-year-old coming out of college to be able to play again and play with people from different walks of life that I didn't know these guys, you know, we didn't play together in high school. We
Maybe
didn't.
you should have.
Yeah, yeah. But it was glorious, it really was.
That's the thing that kind of amazes me about your story is, you know, as Bill said, we played fast pitch softball like that. We go out and get off work on Friday night, go for the weekend, play all weekend, and then have to get up and go to work on Monday. I didn't play football over the weekend. How did you guys, talk about love of the game.
How did you get up
How
and
did
go to
you-
work?
yeah, how did you get up on Monday, go to work, and then?
We didn't always make the call.
Slowly.
We didn't always make the call.
I worked third shift, so I was a night watchman at Taylor. And so I had a guy that would cover for me. So I'd come stumble in at midnight or 1 o'clock and I'd take a nap on the floor. They can't fire me now, but I'd just sleep on the floor.
I can understand that.
Some of us were football coaches at the time, and
You coached a lot of years.
yeah, but the nice thing about the league was that it was a summer league, and so it didn't really interfere with our fall football, and so, yeah, that was.
Were you head coach at that time, Trevor?
No, I was an assistant. I came right out of college. became an
Greg
assistant.
was the head coach.
Greg was a head coach.
when he
yeah,
played for
was,
us.
yeah.
Yeah.
Greg Moe, who was
Mhm.
part of not here today, but.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, when you said love of the game, that's what made me think of that. You guys love the game to have done that and played all weekend and go to work.
I just be honest. I know playing anywhere from 2 to 6 softball games on a weekend in the heat and Steve Dyer and I dragging ourselves into Van Sporting Goods on Monday morning. You did it too.
I can remember
I
playing,
can't imagine playing a football game
No.
that physical
No.
and getting up and going to work.
You know, I used to chuckle at my dad, and, you know, we'd play our game. We'd have to go to the local hospital after the game to recover. So when I got up on Sundays, I'd come walking out, and Dad would go, hey, stop here for a minute. You know, it was summertime, so you had shorts and a t-shirt on. He said, lift that t-shirt up, spin around. And all he was wanting to do was look, see how bad I was being bruised and banged. God, he chucked.
Probably
Not too
coke
bad
on you
this week. But there was one trip, and I'm gonna let Dave Schneider tell this story because he wanted
What's
to
that?
tell it. But I didn't get home till early Sunday morning.
Down in Indianapolis.
One game he's lost for words.
Yeah. That was nice.
Jeffers
Yeah,
lost
we're
for words.
playing down there in Indianapolis. Who we were playing? I don't even remember who we were playing.
Bears,
Bears.
Indy.
And
81.
Steve and I were on offense. We come off field after a series, and he's like, man, Snyder goes, I hurt my shoulder. I said, well, you better set out, man. I said, because you got to get up and go to work on Monday. And he does it. I want to play. And I don't remember if it's the next series or two series, but shortly thereafter, he gets taken off the field with a broken jaw.
I didn't make it to halftime.
And we have to take him to the hospital down there. I don't know what hospital we dropped him.
Well, I can tell you that story too.
Yeah, my wife and I
The
went
Wishart
down.
Knife and Gun Club.
Huh?
They called it the
Oh,
Wishart
okay.
Knife and Gun Club.
Yeah. But did they do surgery that night on you?
Yeah.
Yeah. They was all floppy cock, man.
Well, you know, one of the things that was kind of neat about part of that, so I had the shoulder separation. I had the broken jaw, so I see a regular doctor as I go in. He evaluates the situation, says, okay. He calls an orthopedic surgeon who happened to be Dr. Steve Alfield
There you
from
go.
Northfield High School.
There you go.
So, and then now this, you guys are gonna think I'm crazy. The oral surgeon's name was Steve Volker. So, so yeah, Dr. Alfield told them what they needed to do after, you know, evaluated the x-rays, everything, and for the most part, it was a medium separation on the shoulder deal, but the jaw, that was a tough go. Because they normally put you to sleep, take you in the CER, put you to sleep, do it, or surgery, but they didn't. They were so busy. They did it in the treatment room off of the ER. And I was awake the whole time. And it was not good. But,
No, I wouldn't like that.
but I come back the next year, did it all again.
Wow. Amazing.
You know, the amazing thing about it was that we only practiced once a week.
Yeah, it was like during the week.
Yeah, and we practiced Wednesday nights.
Kansas City was Wednesday night.
And,
so
you know, a
I'm
2-hour practice, and then you're ready to show up and play a game. You know, I don't know how we really pulled that off, other than all of us had a lot of past experiences and.
Just as-
Well,
Yeah.
some did, some did.
A lot of guys didn't show up for practice.
Well, we would have guys that, when we travel, that wouldn't show up because we didn't take a team bus.
No.
It was just all carpooling or caravanning, and
Oh, yeah.
yeah. And it'd always be interesting to go up to Chicago or down south and see who's gonna be there and who's not, you know, because there were no cell phones to call.
Not back in that time.
Yeah, you know.
I think our last game was, we had like 20 guys, didn't we? Remember that last game we played the Bears in the playoffs, I think? And Steve Bechtel was on the team at that time. He's a tackle, and Pete said, Steve Bechtel's on the kickoff team.
Yeah, I remember
You
that.
know, and he's like, I've never been on a kickoff team in my life. But then we only had probably 20 guys or 22 guys to play that game in the playoffs. The numbers just dwindled, didn't they? You guys
So-
get hit.
When this whole thing started, what was the lifespan? What was the years involved in this entire thing?
Well, they played the exhibition season in 1979, and Snyder boys, Allen played then.
80, 81.
And then in what was it, 85, you made it partway through the year?
Well, we
So that was the
we
last.
didn't start
was
the season, did we?
No.
In '85.
Is it 85?
Okay, so,
So we played through '84, was gonna play in '85, and we were having a struggle getting,
No, we played
Numbers.
'85,
So,
and it was summer of '86.
Yeah.
okay. But that was before the start of the season.
so basically the Express was in existence for 6 years, 79 through
Well,
85.
I'll tell you something, maybe you guys never do this, but I went over and sat on Pete's porch on a Sunday after we'd had our big practice on Saturday, and quarterback doesn't show up and other key people, and I went over and said, Pete, I said, hey, because it cost him $2,000 at that time? Put a team in the league.
$2,000 was a bunch of money then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Pete, I mean, let's not kid about this. Pete's self-sustained. I mean,
Yeah.
there was a lot of money out of his pocket.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, you know, Pete, I said, I've reached the age, and I said, I've got my brains beat in for the last few years. And I said, you know, you may want to think twice. And he goes, don't tell anybody, Dave. Don't tell anybody. He said, at practice, I'll tell them so I can get all their gear back. I said, okay,
It
Pete.
was supposed to be picture night.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
right.
He said everybody
So
there.
everybody show up for pictures.
Yeah.
And then
I remember this
With a big pile.
And then there was like the Indy Bears or somebody came up,
Anderson.
Anderson, and everybody got offered to play. Do you guys remember if anybody actually went and played?
Yeah.
Did you- who'd you go play with, John?
Anderson.
Because we went
Okay.
to see him play. You and I went down and watched him play.
Okay, yeah.
That must have been '86.
Yeah, it'd have been '86.
87?
Yeah.
I don't know if it was.
But I mean, you know, like I remember the teams down in Indy were practicing 3 times a week. They had a offensive practice, a defensive practice, and a full team. And so you had to go 2 out of 3, and they offered gas money to drive there twice a week, and then 3 times because game they give you like $15 or something for gas money. But
Wow.
pretty much by that time, my wife told me I'd probably career was over. So.
Well, I think that happened to several of us. You get to the point of where, okay, my first daughter was born in '83, and my wife's up in the stands changing diapers while I'm out there playing.
Yep,
Thinking, you
through
know,
that.
I just don't want to really put my career at risk here.
Oh, yeah.
Playing, breaking a leg, or missing work and not be able to provide.
Yeah.
And so that crosses your mind, or at least did mine, and that was one of the reasons I got out of it.
And I think one of these guys can attest, because we're the same age. At the end, you talk about you can't go to work on Monday, or we play on Saturdays. Sundays wasn't too bad. Mondays were bad, and Tuesdays were actually, I thought, the worst. Because the older I got,
Yeah, a couple days later, it hurt worse than it did the day after.
so you go out and jog miles, try to get the light to gas it out, because there's no practice. But it was harder the older we got to just, you couldn't come.
You guys ever show up for a game and not have enough players?
No.
Always had enough.
Always had enough?
Just enough.
Always had enough. He'd be looking at his watch, looking at the game, pretty soon the van, before when they pull in.
The van, the famous van.
They come rolling in, they all get out. Okay.
All right.
We got 12, let's go.
The cloud got out first.
Yeah.
I remember playing somewhere, and I was a slot back, so I blocked down on tackles and linebackers and ran out routes. That's basically what I did, and I started at running back that game because nobody else was there. He goes, Dave, gonna play running back. Oh, Pete, okay, here we
He
go.
didn't give you a choice, did he?
Yeah, and that was okay. Got to carry the ball a few times and stuff, but.
The thing about Pete was, if Pete could have, he'd have put the equipment on and he'd have been
Oh,
out
yeah.
there.
You always said he was a scat back or something.
I bet he was.
Yeah.
At Manchester College, is that right? Or was it
Yes.
Manchester High School?
He- no,
Not really.
No, he played at Wabash High School and then
Yeah,
Manchester.
College.
Yeah.
I will tell you this, I told Steve this a while ago. I found in doing research and stuff that I've been doing athletically here at the museum, I found that a document that stated that Pete Rich was the first guy to catch a touchdown pass for Wabash High School. Back like, he graduated in '40. so it could have been anywhere from 37 to 40.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of cool.
So what you're saying is they didn't throw the ball too much back.
Apparently not. Apparently not.
Hey, do you guys remember anything that he said, some of his funny sayings?
It's a long story long.
Yeah. Bingo.
That's Pete, no, it's getting dark.
I'll tell you what, we had a committee that I was on, an athletic committee with Pete, to be honest, until right before he died. And that was the classic. Matt Stone, who's the athletic director at Wabash, he and I, Pete would go, long story long, and we would look at each other and roll our eyes. We were gonna be there at least another 20 minutes. But you're right, that's exactly it.
Took his pants.
Yeah, he did.
We were 135 minutes.
Yeah.
He said, he'd say, the offense has to practice defense. You get 11 guys together for about 3 minutes, they comply.
Yeah.
Because they just talk amongst themselves, they'll start tackling.
Oh, yeah.
But one that I kind of remember, and I remember this over the years, we were basically done with practice, and as you guys have said, Pete can take a 5-minute conversation and make it 55 minutes.
Yep, literally.
But entertaining, though.
Yeah,
Oh, he was good.
He was it was starting to rain a little bit, and the guys are going, "Hey, Pete, we gotta go. It's time to go." And it's raining, and Pete said something about you won't melt. And we had a color guy from Marion, Mayo Scroggins. He was a wide receiver, and O'Mayo looks at him and goes, "Hey, yo, Pete, they is brown sugar too. Let's go." That was the end of it.
It's brown sugar.
Oh, it was hilarious. Everybody broke out laughing.
The other thing he'd say
It ended.
was at the end of practice, when he'd get done with his speech, he would go, "Everybody to the beer truck."
Yeah.
Because you had to buy beer because that bought our tank.
Yeah.
And Wabash, there was a distribution
Yep.
Right.
here.
Yep.
And
Dave Doherty.
David, I don't know, they gave the beer away or whatever that was. Everybody gave $1, and then you got your tape, and that's how they.
Oh,
Everybody
yeah.
to the beer truck. That was your sprint.
Oh, yeah.
Businessman.
He was a great guy. And I appreciate, like you guys, I appreciate what he did for us.
The opportunities.
Oh, man, I mean,
He,
he was just that kind of guy.
Oh, great.
when he was still alive, this is probably my first couple years, 3 or 4 years, he'd come out to practice once a year.
Oh, at Southwood?
Mhm.
Oh, that's awesome.
Unannounced,
He came when I was.
but just show up,
Yeah.
and it didn't make me any difference, because I was always gonna visit with him, and he'd walk around and ask questions, and I'd be there 20 minutes and take off.
He would come to
But
practice,
I
would
appreciated
show
that.
up.
Yeah, he did the same when you was coaching
Oh,
out
he
there
did. And
too.
then, you'd be like, "Hey, somebody cover me here. I'm gonna go talk to that guy over there," because he'd just shake your hand, and he was so proud.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Proud.
But you also have to remember, and I don't know, you guys probably know this, but I mean, his influences growing up were guys like Gus DeRay, literally Gus DeRay, John Tatum, DeVere Fair. Then he mentored guys like Paul Gunderman, Bob Maddox. I mean, a lot of different guys. So, I mean, he's paying it forward just like you guys are doing now. All of you guys. I mean, just having the interest to come and sit here and talk about this, to me, is homage to Pete.
Yeah, I think it needs to be that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, really. I mean, he's the reason for all of it.
Yep.
And it's funny. He's a good guy, though.
Oh.
And
He loved the game of football.
He kept his cool. I've seen that a couple times, but
Not
overall,
always.
I think the maddest I ever saw Pete in my career is the first season, that 1980 season. We're getting ready to start our first game. I think it's probably against Logansport or Kokomo or whatever. And Allen was at center, and I was at guard. Litch was at tackle. Dwayne Nordman was at the other guard, and Hogg
Slimmer.
was at
Jim
the other
Slimmer.
tackle.
He's still around.
So we're all set, ready to go. And, Litch and I had already made a commitment to play in the Freaks and Fuzz game that Saturday night. So I talked to Litch about it. Litch goes, "Well, you're gonna have to tell him." So Litch threw me under the bus. So
No.
I go to Pete. Pete, here's Liz and I are starting on the line with Alan. I said, we're not gonna be able to make it, And Pete blew a rod. I mean, he about snapped.
Yeah,
And,
well, I can't blame him.
No, it was, but that's the only game I ever missed. I was scared to death,
Yeah.
but never missed another one. But yeah, Pete was pretty upset that night, but he got over it.
I was playing fast pitch softball at the time for like at least a year. He got hurt in a game, had a collision in the outfield, got a concussion and deep thigh bruise. He wasn't happy about that either. I think I got the talk on commitment.
There's another thing. What kind of commitment, commitment to show up and practice and play, but what kind of commitment, what type of regulations, rules, whatever, did Pete have?
Well, he spelled them out to me,
You didn't play softball.
Yeah, no more softball, no more, and I was playing that, I was young and they had all these small town festivals and stuff, and so we were playing basketball, during the week, we were playing fast pitch on the weekends, playing football, and so I think after that, I quit everything, I just played football for Pete.
And if I might, you talk about Pete and everything, but these guys right here, I have such respect for them that they made it fun too. So Pete provided a means to an end, but he's like Mr. Taylor University over here in their Hall of Fame, and meeting these guys and just hanging with them, and that guy's got great hands back there. You went because you wanted to be part of them, with them, what they were doing.
Being a team.
Yeah.
Yes,
Exactly.
exactly.
It was interesting. My first year was 1981, and I looked at our team, and there probably were 40 or 50 kids on the team that year. But they all had a different path in which they came to get to us. And, mine was a little bit different than what the rest of these guys here, but do you guys remember a gentleman from town here named Dick Miller? He had
Absolutely.
remember
Dick's
Dick?
Menswear,
He had
sir.
a clothing store.
Yes, sir.
Well, my brother married his daughter, Mary. And
Mary Miller.
Mary Miller.
She was 2 years ahead of me in school. It was like, we went to grade school all the way
Is that
through high
right?
school.
Well,
You always had a
Always-
crush on her.
Yes, I did.
I know what he said, you're right.
Well,
Thank you, Trevor.
that's how I heard about this, because Mary came, she was married to my brother, and we were together one day, and said, I know you still want to play. Pete Risch, who she knew real well, has a football team down in Wabash. Why don't I ask if you can try out? So, sure, and as it was, we met at the Honeywell place here.
Honeywell Center?
Yeah, Honeywell Center one day, and I came down and bumped into these guys over here from Fort Wayne, and just so happened that, bingo, it worked. And I was always curious how the other people, what path they took,
Yeah.
because there were people from all over. Marion, I think you said there was a connection.
Bunch of guys from Marion.
Yeah.
But I remember when he signed you, I
Yeah.
thought he signed Bart Starr. The sun rose.
Big signing bonus, wasn't it?
I'll tell you that.
Yeah, my signing bonus, a free beer, I believe is what it
There you
was.
go. Nowadays, that would be a city.
Yeah, exactly.
But I remember
He liked John Parks.
remember when he got Burgess and he got Hooley from Manchester.
Yeah.
And that was, right up there, but then Trevor Tipton came. Man.
That's the only name he knew, that and Greg Moe. Greg Moe and Trevor Tipton.
Well,
Wow, these names.
Dick Miller, didn't Pete have a board of directors?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Herb Witowski was on it,
Yes.
Dick Miller.
Okay. Dick was on that.
I don't know who all was on it, but there were several.
Yeah.
They were prominent business people
Yeah.
in this town at
Yeah.
that time.
Mm-hmm.
Steve, did you say a lot of the guys on that original board of directors
Oh, yeah.
passed on?
Oh, yeah.
That, used to be on the back of the kettle.
Yeah, they would have had.
Well, here's an 82 program that has them in there. And you've got Pete as coach and general manager, Matt, Chuck Dwyer, Mike Odell, Jimmy Fisher.
Who was a businessman here in
Yeah,
town.
and I know those three guys are gone.
Mike Davenport.
Mike Davenport's gone. Herb Witowski's gone. I don't know about Jim Guthrie.
I don't either, but all four of those guys, Fisher, Davenport, Witowski, Guthrie were all prominent business people in this town.
Yeah.
Mike Davenport was he owned a construction company.
Contractor, yeah.
And, I mean, there were.
Didn't Herb own King Hipskins?
Yes, Herb and Jim, Herb owned it, Jim was his general manager.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and so, I mean, realistically, the flow of cash, if you will, probably came from those,
Out of those
for those
guys.
4 guys.
Dave, you
Right.
remember our team physician, right?
Yeah.
I do.
Who
Dr.
was it?
Good.
Doc.
Doc Rigu.
Oh, Hap.
Hap Rigu.
Yeah.
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 You want
He
to
was-
talk, and there was a guy that was a football player
Yeah.
in his day, years ago. In fact, his son played at Wabash, years later, but Hap was, God,
Yeah, that's right. They called him Hap, didn't
Yep, they would, I mean, if that team was still going, Hap would still be the physician.
yeah.
I guarantee it.
Well, you know,
Well, they only lived, you know,
Well-
those houses just to the
Northwest
northwest
behind
of the football stadium. He lived right there. He could walk.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
so when I got the finger mashed off and stuff, you know, Doc takes me over at halftime to the hospital, fixes it up. I worked at Wabash Alloys, it was a pretty dirty environment. He said, I don't want you in there getting an infection or something. So he wrote me off for 2 weeks. Well, I go back in on a Friday morning and he says, hey, you're good to go back to work Sunday night. I worked 11 to 7 shift. And I said, I can go back to work Sunday night. He said, yeah. I said, okay, thank you. I said, Sunday night. He said, yeah. He said, looks at me and he goes, no, no. I'm going, oh, yes. So we were slated to play the Bears in Chicago the next day. He said, get your ass back in there. So he comes back in there, he puts his plastic sleeve over my finger, takes it to this finger. He said, don't take them off until Sunday. Because he said, you're going to play no matter what I tell you.
Duh.
So yeah, I went and played. Yeah, he did a heck of a job.
And see, there's another thing. I mean, it's not like you're playing here at Wabash, and you play home games, but it's not like you're playing against Peru and Huntington and Warsaw. You're going multiple times to Indianapolis, or at least the Indianapolis area, Anderson, Chicago, where all else?
Maryville.
Wow.
Maryville is where they had the really bad mosquitoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet Logansport was probably the closest team you played, right?
Logan and Kokomo.
Kokomo?
I wouldn't mind there.
Wow.
So you're like one of the first years we played. I don't know if anybody recognizes the name Joe Metallic. Joe Metallic played quarterback at Purdue. He was.
Oh, he's from Indianapolis.
Yeah. He played he played quarterback down there a little bit.
So in other words, he's older than Steve.
So
Yeah.
well, I didn't say that.
He started against Michigan in 1977.
Right. That's what I say. So, you know, as you're talking about, you know, the Express, I just played high school ball. You know, you had Trevor played college ball and some of the guys that did, but you got into some of those guys down there that had guys that played at Indiana, Purdue, you know, so, I mean, a lot bigger schools and so you played some guys that have played some quality football.
We played against a team at Wabash, and I can't remember what team it was, but their quarterback had been in the USFL with like some team in Texas, and he was like 6'4", or 6'5". He's bigger than anybody on our defensive line. That was huge.
Gillen just retired
Yeah.
as a head football coach out in Mooresville, 74 years
Where
old.
was he at?
Mooresville.
Wasn't he Indian Creek or something for a while?
Indian Creek,
Yeah.
I think maybe Tri-West.
Yeah.
I'm not really
Those are-
sure.
That's good.
Just say, those are
Yeah.
some big football.
He's
schools.
up there
Yeah.
with total wins and stuff, yeah. But I saw that earlier. But I still follow it. I still get on Football Digest and all that
Your
stuff.
blood, man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, back in the day, back at the turn of the previous century, there was a team here in town that was actually a precursor to what ended up being the NFL. It was called the Wabash Athletic Association, and they played teams from all over. A couple of their big rivals were a place called Pine Village, which is just west of Lafayette. And they played in Detroit, they played wherever. And some of the stuff that Pete Jones gave me, and Pete Risch verified some of this, because he was a little kid. And he said that there were people that would be picked up on these teams that were prominent college players. And some of them had even played, again, this is before the actual NFL, but the Canton Bulldogs, those types of teams. And I guess my question is, and you may not know all this, but were there former big-time college players that you knew the names? Like Pete Jones would tell me that one of the reasons that Gus Duray ended up in Wabash years later and started his car dealership was because he had played here playing for a team out of Fort Wayne and a team out of South Bend, and they would use assumed names
I
because it was
have
illegal.
heard that story, yeah, yeah.
Now, John Parks, there was rumor, I think, in late '81, pre-'82, that Mike Augustiniak
I would
had
call it to him.
talked to Pete and was going to come play for the Express, and then last-minute decision, he makes the Jets roster, becomes an All-Pro with the Jets, and plays in the NFL, and kind of let the Express just kind of dwindle away. You know.
What's wrong with
You
it?
know, in that time, I tried to get a lot of guys, you know, Joe and Litch and these guys. We got a lot, but we tried to get John Vernasco, who was starter at Evansville College. Tried to get him, but I think he came to one practice. He practiced with us.
That's a 5-hour drive, one
And,
way.
well, no, I meant he was in back and forth after he graduated.
Oh.
From Evansville, and then with Augustiniak, I worked out with him, and yeah, tried to talk to him. He came over to the house, and and then of course he gets to go to the Jets. But tried to get Paul Berry, defensive back for Purdue. Paul said, "Man, I'm not getting paid. You know, I went to Purdue. I don't want to play." So a lot of guys just after that 4 years of college, you know, had enough, and some others got bigger ventures, you know, going on. But yeah, there was a lot of different players and a lot of different colleges, and but you know, I mean, riding down here in the car, I got Ball State, I got Butler University, and I got Taylor over here. I got 3 college big time players, and you know, riding just in the car down with me. So.
There were players in the other teams, like from Ball State and Purdue, that we knew from different times. So it was competitive.
We had the running back from Ball State that was originated from up north. He was our last couple of years. I can't think of his.
You know, Joe?
It's after me, I don't know.
Huh?
I remember
He
coming
was
to
really
watch.
fast.
I remember coming to watch you guys a couple of times, and it was like we would be sitting in the stands or standing along the fence, and there'd be all this scuttlebutt. Well, that guy right there, he was a running back at Ball State, or he was a defensive back for Purdue, or you know, whatever. There was always that interest, if you will.
Yeah, we had a safety that played at Miami of Ohio.
Keith Brown.
Yeah, he was a defensive end.
I remember that
He
name.
played safety with us.
Keith,
He played safety.
you knew when Keith was playing,
Oh.
because you heard him. He hit, and he hit hard.
Now, you know, back to what you were mentioning, Bill, back to
You remember
the old.
Leon?
Oh, yeah.
Big Leon Waters,
Oh, yeah.
played at Defiance.
Yeah.
And said he had to try out with the Browns and all that
Passed
stuff.
away,
you know,
correct.
And he passed away. But Leon was just a super guy, just a super duper guy, but a good offensive lineman.
What about Red McClure? Didn't he play like some actual semi-pro
Wait a
ball
minute.
at one time?
Dirty Red.
Dirty Red.
Dirty
Dirty
Red.
Red.
Shaking your head.
We call him Dirty Red.
He was with the Chicago Fire of the World Football.
I thought he played down
That
at
was a
Charlotte
big
or
deal.
something.
Was he
Yeah,
not? Didn't he? That's what he said.
I knew there was something.
That's what he said.
Trevor, were you in camp with somebody after college?
I went up to the Fire and tried out up there.
Did you?
Okay,
Wow.
yeah. I thought you had been.
So, you know, Bill, back to you talking about Pete and Pete Risch and Pete Jones and the old team. So, I don't know what inspired me to do this, so I pick up good old Google,
Of course.
and I Google say,
Now that we're smart enough to do it.
yeah, I Googled to see if anybody from Wabash had ever, or, who had played in NFL. Well, there was actually a guy by the name of Jim Marks. If you Google all that and look, from Wabash that played, he's played in the NFL.
He's in the Wabash High School Hall of Fame.
Is he? Okay.
Well, there was
I
a
didn't
guy
remember
from
that too well.
White's. There was a guy from White's that played.
Jim Todd.
Did
Jim
Jim?
Todd. You know where Jim Todd is today?
No.
Jim Todd played at Ball State, ended up being drafted, or no, I don't, maybe not drafted. They may not have had the draft then. Anyway, he played a year with the Eagles and a year with Detroit. Ended up, somehow he got to Texas, and to this day, he is like he's got a PhD. He is like a mentor to the athletic department and has been like a psychologist for years.
Okay.
And he's made an impact on a lot of people from what I understand. Lou Curlis was telling me about him, so I did some research and that's what I found. But there are others. There's a guy by the name of Bob Jones that played for the Giants, I think. There's several, but a lot of them were way long before us, where they would play a year or so and go, you know what, this isn't worth it. I had more notoriety in college or whatever. I'm not gonna kill myself doing this.
My high school coach, Mr. Chambers, played for the
Really?
49ers, but it was during wartime, so they didn't have enough players. So they, guys they could find that could play and wanted to play. Because I think he just played like 1 or 2 years, right?
He was unique. Yeah.
He's a very unique individual.
Oh, yes, he
Before
was.
free agency, they had to work 2 jobs.
Sure.
Pro football players.
Yeah.
I chauffeured Johnny Unitas around Fort Wayne.
You're kidding.
One-
That's my guy. When I was a kid, that was my
I worked for
guy.
a Navistar dealership, and he was a representative, national representative, and amazing. If you met you today, he would never forget your name. He could just do that. But his last year in free agency, he made more than like 17 years prior to that put together.
And
And
that
so it
was-
really screwed everything up.
Right.
Yeah.
But even
An
that was,
interesting guy. His hands were huge. He always wanted to go to Notre Dame, and they told him he wasn't tall enough. But he, just a great guy. He died. He had a heart attack years after we had him. So it's been over 30 years ago. But he said those guys worked 2 jobs. They played in the NFL, and then they did something else in the overseas. But it's changed now. Now
well, I remember,
the environment's so much different than
yeah,
it was.
my dad was a big Baltimore Colts fan, which made me a Baltimore Colts fan. And those guys, I've read all of those books. I've read Johnny Hughes' books. I've read several others. And it's like Johnny early on sold insurance on the side.
Yeah.
There were guys that were brick masons. There were, just exactly what you're talking about. And they
Played
made
'cause they loved the
nothing.
game like
Yeah,
whatever it is.
and they made nothing. They made nothing compared to what is made today. I don't know how they did it.
Have you ever seen the book called Semi-Football?
But that's-
Did you have to bring that along?
I said, you guys bring it with you?
Yeah,
That
I
sounds
was
familiar.
gonna bring it.
It's on my dresser.
Yeah, it was written about the semi-pro team, if you wanna call it that, in Indiana. And he did a lot of research, the guy that wrote the book. And he has names of people that went on to become head coaches or people that went on to play college football or pro football, but that might be a good read for you.
Wow.
It's
interesting you bring
He
that
was
up.
the guy that was the sports writer here in Wabash, right?
Oh, he was. I don't know.
Then he
I
went to
can't think of his
Anderson,
name.
right?
Yeah.
What was it?
Because I remember getting interviewed for that.
Yeah, I was
thing.
interviewed for it.
You were talking about
Yeah.
that when we met.
Yeah,
so
but I
he came up
can't.
to the house.
He was a young guy.
Yeah, he
I
was,
can't.
and
I
he
can't remember
did
his
a nice
name.
job. It was really
Yeah. Oh yeah. He
well
spent some
researched.
time on
He
that.
put a lot of time in it.
Yeah.
That was the very thought I had in listening, and I'm glad you brought it up. Just look at, even in this room, how many of you guys went on to coach?
Mm.
And you talk about the effect you have on other people's lives. You guys are the guys that had the love of the game, and you're passing that on. And I think softball was the same way. Guys played for years and go on to coach kids, and as you say, pay it forward. So what's sad to me is this stuff isn't around anymore. I wish it was. My son's 30 years old. He'll be playing in an independent basketball league or a baseball. And so much of it's just gone.
Yeah.
You got 3 guys right here that went on to become head coaches, and I know Greg Moe. You guys don't know better, jump right in, but there's several other guys that I
Well, not only
become
did we
coach,
go on to
but-
become coaches, but we eventually coached against each other.
Yeah, I can remember going to games and they're coaching against each other.
I came along later,
We
so
played
I didn't get it.
Yeah, we never coached against
We
you.
played against, as a Busco, we played against Central Noble in a tourney game, and we had Wabash Crew. And I'm like, they're roughing my quarterback, and they're like, no, they're not. And they finally throw a flag in like the 4th quarter, and he is going ballistic on the sideline. I got one. I got one. And he is going ballistic on the sideline. I'm down with one of my kids.
Well-
It was my quarterback, because one of you guys cheap shot at him.
It wasn't me.
And I'm like, hey, Tim. Hey, Tim. No. It was, oh, come on, help me out here.
Tim Esleve?
And Bill Whitener. I graduated.
Oh,
Bill
yeah.
Whitener.
Okay.
And I'm like, hey, look.
Okay.
And they finally said, okay, and they threw a flag next to me. He's over there, and he's going nuts.
Perfect example of what you're talking about. Coach. I mean, referee.
Yeah.
How many of you just coach kids somewhere? I mean, you study.
Did you have experience? I know you had some. Oh, no.
Did you ever do any
Now,
Southwood games? Dave, did you ever do any Southwood games?
Yes, few.
Oh, no. Hey, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Apologizing now. I never got thrown out.
Hey, now, Liz, I got a question for you. When you went to officiate, did you ride your motorcycle with all your gear, your referee suit, your whistle, everything on the back, and then change out of your little short shorts and put your uniform on for refereeing like you did for practice?
No.
Dave rode his motorcycle come to practice. He's a big guy anyway, and he had all his stuff on there. He'd get down there, put all his gear on.
I didn't have a motorcycle.
Didn't you?
No, who's that? We're confused with somebody.
Long time ago.
Hey, that's 47 years ago.
Beach win.
So how many years did you actually officiate?
Well, I started officiating when I was in the Army over in Italy, doing their pro league over there, and then I came home and refereed here in IFFAA for like 17 years.
Wow.
Can I ask, what crew were you with?
I was with Kim Zuber.
Oh, gosh.
Apparently Dave's
Not
got
very
him.
well, so I apologize.
He probably had you too, huh?
I had
Oh,
Kim
yeah.
Zuber.
You never
Oh,
know. You
yeah.
never got
I
to
was
do
glad to be out in the field with him, though. 'Cause he didn't,
He didn't
one of
miss
those guys
words.
he didn't take a lot of lip.
No, he didn't. But he'd tell your kids when your coach made a bad call too.
Oh, really?
He did that one night, yeah. I told
You know,
him.
it's one thing to have played and reminisce and do all this, and we're gonna continue to do that. Think about how many lives you guys have touched, whether it be guys that you played with, guys that you coached with, kids you coached, mentored. My God.
It's a fraternity.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a huge fraternity. And I know that we have one in baseball, and you and I are both,
absolutely.
you know, Steve, there aren't too many people that don't know Steve McClure in the basketball world.
Those poor people.
But it's, to me, I mean, each one of us, but we're talking about you guys, each one of you, I mean, Dan, you coached in what, 2 or 3 school systems?
Taylor, Eastbrook, Manchester College, Southwood, Cherubusco, so 5.
Okay. I mean, Trevor, you were pretty much centered in the Taylor world,
Right.
but that's still huge.
Central Noble.
Central, that's right, Central Noble.
Did you coach any place other than there, other than I know you're at East Noble right now?
No, I started my career and retired from there, then I went to East Noble after I retired.
Yeah.
You know, speaking of what you're talking about, I didn't really grasp that until I retired. When I retired, I started getting the floodgates open of letters and texts and emails from people just thanking you, for what you've done for them. And that was humbling, to say the least.
I will have people come up to me today, and my wife will walk away, and my wife will go, "Who's that?" Kid I coached 25 years ago.
Yeah. Can't think of it.
You've been there.
Yeah. You know, there's a higher up guy at Sweetwater Sound, Fort Wayne, and I was dealing with him, and I'm talking, and I said, "Where'd you go to school?" And he goes, "Central Mobile." "Did you play football?" He goes, "Yeah." And he talked about Trevor was his coach, and he's up at the top of the echelon there, and he told me that Trevor Tipton made him the man that he was today. And
Wasn't the only one, I'm sure.
just make, and I saw that on at that time. And, but it was, and that's not the only one, it's the only one right now that comes to my mind about Trevor. But, in my illustrious career of many contracts and a lot of money, I had a chance to play against a lot of guys, had a chance to play with a lot of players from the MAC and the Big Ten and All-Americans, but out of all those, how many years it was playing football, there's nobody like Trevor Tipton. And as far as I'm concerned, the best player that I ever played against. But Trevor's not only just a player or a coach, but he's a great teacher. And that's why he's had such success on and off the field and in the classroom. But, and like I say, I'm not bragging like I've been around the world, but played quite a few big-time players. And, in my book, Trevor's been the best. So hats off to you, Trevor. Great job.
To hear you speak about that, to me, there's coaches, and then there are mentors. And what you just described is a mentor, more than coach. Those relationships last forever.
I mean, Dave mentioned it's a fraternity. And
Yeah.
I need to say this in front of the basketball, baseball guys. We share tape in January. What did you do and how'd you block it? And they tell you, you guys, I would get tapes from other sports. Do you know anybody down in the Southwood area for volleyball? Yeah, can you get a tape? Well, Tom Pinnacle said, can you get a tape on Angola or somebody? Because I was busking, I go, I can get you a tape, because those guys wouldn't share anything. We share everything.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes it a great fraternity.
I thought all sports were like that. Basketball's not like that.
Now, I will say, I used to meet Bill Patrick at Pam's Cafe in Urbana, and we would talk about our upcoming opponents and stuff. Now, when we played each other, we didn't talk a whole lot about that. But there's a guy, I mean, when I was at Oak Hill, you punch him when he comes in or something, but I got to know him. And, it was really cool to be able, especially for me, to have somebody like that say, hey, let's meet down there and we'll talk about your upcoming things.
But that's kind of an unusual thing, isn't it?
Yeah, oh,
For
yeah.
that thing.
Yeah.
The other thing I'd like to add too is you can say things to a kid that will not leave a room.
Yeah.
That the basketball coaches and the kid, because it's that, and I'm not trying to limit or minimize but you can get a kid by the face and bring him in and tell him what you want him to know, and he will keep it to himself and play. And I think that's the unique thing about football.
Yeah.
It's a,
It's almost like a badge of honor
Yes, it is.
for a coach to grab you by the face.
Absolutely. I was a freshman. That's as high as I played.
Yeah.
See,
I
I
remember
came,
Paul Gunnerman grabbing me and going, do you actually understand what's going on here?
You never forgot that, did you?
Lesson learned.
But I did a radio show where I interviewed coaches. Did I ever interview you, Dave? Was before that.
Before that.
But I interviewed Mac, God knows how many times. But the basketball guys would talk. The football guys, they would meet at that show and be on the air, but that's when they gave their tapes to each other.
no.
You're right, Dan, that was a difference, a big difference.
Well, and speaking from the other side of this, I had a Little League coach, may have been the best coach I ever had at any level. He just could relate to kids, and again, at 9 years old, you're listening. So I'm playing fast pitch softball, we're in like this regional down in Indy, and I'm up to bat late in the game, tough situation, and there aren't that many people coming to the games. So I get in the batter's box, and somebody starts heckling me from the side. I mean,
You told me this story.
yeah, leather lungs. You can't help but hear the guys going, he never could hit, this guy's nothing, just throw it by him. And I'm thinking, what's going on? So I step out of the box and I kind of the Lance over, because I'm not gonna look. He goes, yeah, just look on over here. What is it? I'm making out, I go to the bench, it's my Little League coach. I'm 35 years old. I haven't seen him in 20 years. I went over and I hugged him. You know, that's the effect you have on kids.
But that's the effect, to me, that's the effect, widen the fraternity.
Yeah.
That's the effect that sports has on kids.
Exactly.
And you know, we're all in a male world as far as coaching, playing, whatever. But it's in the female world now too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's what this does. I have a 13-year-old grandson who is my baseball kid, and he eats, drinks, sleeps, and I'm thinking that's me, except for he's farther advanced. He's a whole lot better than I ever was. And my son-in-law will look at me and go, "You're the one that started this." But it's just, I mean, that's what this is all about. The stories, you know, the stories years later of meeting Johnny Unitas and all, you know, this whole thing. I mean, it's far-reaching, it's eventful, and I forget a lot of things anymore, but I don't forget those types of things ever.
Well, how many stories have we heard you guys have told like yesterday, right? You've got them right. You'll never forget them.
Well, you know, back to this, and I applaud all these guys that become head coaches and mentored a lot of kids through their programs over the years. Coach McClure, Schneider boys, Trevor, and earlier this summer, I was playing golf, or well, I play at it kind of. So I'm over in Peru, and I run into a kid, and I get to talking to him, and I don't really have jersey on. I had a couple kids with him. He played for Dan Schneider at Churubusco High School. Ooh. And I said, I had him call you, remember? I gave you my phone, had him call you. I said, here, I know Dan Schneider, unfortunately, but so he called him and they had a good reminiscence. He again, like Trevor, this kid will never forget Dan Schneider. I can remember my coaches. I mean, I can name you all of them. And back in that day, you respected all of them. If you didn't really respect them, you just kept your mouth shut.
Not wrong.
So, but yeah.
But the guy that hasn't said a whole lot in this whole conversation has been impactful also. I coached two of Alan's nephews, and he would come to watch him play, and it was all of a sudden, every once in a while, you'd see one of the boys, and they didn't play together because they were different in age, but every once in a while, I'd see them stand over huddling with their uncle, and don't know what was said, never asked, none of my business. But there's an impact. There's an impact, and I don't care how you throw it out there, but it's there. I mean, I know. Correct me if I'm wrong. You took them hunting and fishing.
Yep.
And
Still does.
And that's where I was going.
Still do, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But that's.
Yep, talk about stuff,
Yep.
talk about life.
One of his brothers was one of my assistant coaches, and just, I mean, this is what we do.
Yeah.
I'll never, I mean, I'm not coaching anymore. My daughter gets all over me. Dad, you need to come down here and coach it. No. You know how much fun it is to sit in the bleachers with my feet cocked up?
You've heard that, right? Haven't you?
Exactly. It's a whole lot of fun. I'm still competitive, and I'm sure you guys are too. I know Dave is. I'm sure you guys are too, but it's fun just to sit and watch other people do this now and learn from our mistakes. Or, I mean, just some of the things that are said between coaches. You know, we all have the horror stories about having to confront parents or being confronted by a parent, but there's a whole lot more fun and positive stories than there is negative. And That's where I was going with that, Alan.
Yep, I'd like to add to this though, and this guy here doesn't really know how much impact he made in my life. He didn't coach me in basketball, baseball, football, or anything, but he helped coach me in some life decisions. And I want to thank you for the words of encouragement that you gave me at different times back in the day, and the things we were involved with 45 years ago. I don't know if you ever remember it, but you encouraged me in some choices that me and my wife had made, and that was some of the best choices we ever made.
Well, thank you.
And your encouragement is stuck 45 years later. I thank you. Appreciate it. You've been a huge mentor to me, and I know our lives have not crossed a lot, but our paths did at one time. And what the words of encouragement that you gave me at that time changed my life.
Man,
That's,
Nice.
yeah. That's,
glad to help.
well, Stephen, lead us back onto the Express, and let's kind of tie this up. But that doesn't necessarily mean we're done, but let's tie this up.
You know, Steve, you talk about your finger. There was one area I guess we didn't talk about is, and I won't say violence, but there were some fights, you know, going on.
Here we go. Now
And the referees, you know, a lot of those guys, I don't think they would really want to do those games because here they are in the middle of summer, it's 125 degrees, and the guys are out there and cheap shots and, you know.
Remember the one we had down at, I believe it was
That where Hunter got punched the referee and we got kicked out of the league, he did.
well, Pete got fined like $500.
We had a guy.
But everybody, they had a chain link fence about this high, and we had, Lewis Johnson was a quarterback, and he had two brothers that played.
That was
One of-
83.
One of the brothers was injured.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's in the stands, and
Sonny.
the fight breaks out.
Yeah.
And he hurdles that chain link fence and gets just about on the field and got met with
We were talking about Steve's finger, so I think we were at Lafayette. You know, Lafayette used to be called the BC Generals before, and I found out from a good guy that went to college at Purdue, Burger Chef sponsored them. So they were the BC Generals. And so we're playing down there, and I'm sitting on the bench. Offense was on the field with Dave Roy, Psycho Roy, and pretty soon there's a big scuttle going on out there. So boy, you know, button up our chin straps, and we head on the field. What's going on? He said, well, we're looking for some guy's finger. He had got his finger caught in some guy's face mask. And so we thought it was going to be another fight, you know, but it wasn't. It was
Well,
for medical stuff.
Dave remembers this one because we reminisced just briefly here a while back as we were visiting. So my first game back after the finger incident was at Chicago Heights, and I had the best game I ever had. And I always said all the way through high school. Well, it could be. You know, all the way through high school, you know, I get the ball 11, 12, 13 times, and I just told my dad, I said, I want it 20 times. I said, if I ever get to carry the ball 20 times, I'm going to come out of there with 100 yards. So that was the first time, and I did. But as we were leaving, it didn't have anything to do with the players. But the wives and the girlfriends were, I mean, their hair's getting ready to fly, and it was like, oh, it got ugly out in the parking lot. We had to get wives separated.
They had a walkway over the interstate to go from the parking lot to
to where we
the
parked.
schools.
Yeah.
Chicago Heights. Yeah.
Chicago Heights.
Yeah, it was a while before we got out of there because it got pretty tense.
Yeah, it's.
I will tell you this.
We didn't have but 3 or 4 ARs out, and they had maybe 3 or 4. I don't know. But no, it was pretty rough.
Steve was in the same class with my younger brother, and Steve played football, and obviously, and he was a decent enough player. He was physical, but I will say this: he didn't get the ball that much, and when he did get the ball, it was between the tackles. They never pitched it to him very often and said, "Here, run around the end." It was like straight through the middle, you know, off guard, off tackle. So he took a lot of abuse. So if I'd say, you shouldn't remember all this stuff, but he does. He does. But he took a lot of abuse. There was a lot of physicality.
I tell you, this has been education for me. First exposure I had to this football was Lane Custer. He played for the Generals, And he was, oh, you gotta go watch this. And you could, his excitement was overflowing and stuff, so all that. Well, I think they played Wabash. And Larry O'Connor threw an interception to Lane. Lane caught it, whatever. Surprisingly, he caught it. And after game, he said, boy, Red, thanks. You threw an awful nice ball. And I thought we was going to have to go about 90 mile an hour back to Wabash to protect Lane or something, because Red was going to kill him. So I mean, the intensity, I got an exposure to that right away. And then this has really been neat to hear these
We
stories.
were talking about Larry before we came over
Larry
here.
O'Connor,
Yeah.
Big Red.
He was a heck of an athlete.
He was, yeah.
And I told the story, we were behind in a game, and of course back then you didn't really call it a 2-minute drill, but it's like, and he threw it out to me, and I thought I'd get a few more yards, you know, and I got tackled on the field, so the clock keeps running. He was mad. He was
Just run out of bounds.
yeah. No, that's better than that. I could get a few yards and step out of bounds. I didn't get it.
Is he still
Got
around?
here
I
from-
played basketball with him
He
in the
actually-
summers.
he lives
He was a
in-
basketball
He
player.
lives
Oh,
in
he's a
Kansas
heck of a
City,
ball.
Kansas City area. I see him, he comes back to town a couple, two or three times a year.
Okay.
He's still the same Big Red, except he's whiter than Dave. His hair is whiter than Dave's.
Are you seeing my hair?
I think white
I thought
hair.
this was blonde.
But what, it used to be,
Oh, okay.
it used to be. Big Red, wow.
A lot of guys sure came and went too. You know what I mean? We talk about like that from the exhibition year to the first year. The first year, say, by the end, I mean, you guys and Hog and me, a couple of guys that been there.
Pete, you called the core.
Everybody was
There's
gone.
about 15 of us that was always gonna show up.
Came in, a lot of guys came and went, and came back
Yeah.
or moved. And
In a 6 or 7 year period, how many people do you think cumulatively
Oh.
played on that team?
Well, we had some rosters of over 40 people. How many jerseys did Pete have? 'Cause I don't think, cause somebody told me one time he was gonna play, said, well, I didn't figure I'd make it, I'd get cut. And I go, nobody's cut. You know, it's a
Hold
piece
that
count.
jersey up,
Well, you were talking that jersey.
Hold that-
Pete bought
let's see
those
that.
for that first year.
That's first year.
And that's if you played for the Minnesota Vikings. That thing, they were super heavy.
It's like a blanket.
It's like
Oh,
a
yeah.
blanket.
Wow.
And a dress.
And,
In the middle of the summer.
Yeah.
so then they came out with these mesh ones a couple of years ago from Dick's Sporting Goods.
Yeah.
And, if I remember that first year, those things were like
They were
wearing a
heavy.
raincoat.
Blanket.
Oh.
Just a blanket, like wearing a blanket. And they were 90-some degrees and.
I remember having one of
There's
those.
what I like.
Yeah, I had one of those.
Yep.
I didn't wear that.
You were never that way.
And you remember this logo? There was a Wabash Express logo.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
I don't know if that was on, I think that was on one of the t-shirts, you know?
Yeah.
And as soon as Dan showed me that t-shirt, Mike Davenport wore that blue t-shirt till the collar fell off.
Yeah,
He
he did.
They might have even buried him in it.
But Mike, every time, I mean, he'd come to Fort Wayne and see me, I mean, just right before he died. But we'd go to Halls for lunch, and he'd always be wearing that. And but towards the end, he said he was a scout for Indiana Tech, and so he'd wear some orange, some Indiana Tech apparel. But he had that blue T-shirt, and it's just like yesterday. He had that S10. He'd open the back up with that cooler of beer, wearing that
Yep.
T-shirt, and that was my old buddy Mike Denver.
Not surprised.
He was everybody's buddy.
Oh, yeah, till the day he died.
Yeah.
Mike was a great guy.
Yep. Tell you what, there's an awful lot of construction projects in this area that he was a part of. He knew his stuff.
Well, in the wintertime, some of us would get together with Mike and have poker games.
Oh, boy.
And we'd come to his house, or he'd come to Fort Wayne. So, yeah, I got a lot of good memories of Mike. Great guy.
I'm impressed that you can still get in the uniform.
No kidding.
Hey, you do realize
He's
that
gonna
back
wear
then,
shoulder
you had
pads,
this
shoes,
shoulder
stretcher.
pads and all this.
Yeah, but
Here you
this-
were
this
underneath
area.
them, so
I
they
mean,
were a
look
lot
right here. You think you can fit?
It was way too big for me.
There you go. Okay. Confession.
It was a triple X or something.
Okay.
You know, Bill, yes, that, and I can't tell you for sure, but I mean, I could sit here and we reminisced about some names, some county players that have played off and on, but I bet you there were between 300 and 400 people that played on that team over the 6 years. Now, did they all participate or
Show up and leave.
some of them, yeah, you know, but I mean, you know, I remember Pete one time saying, you know, he really, I want to do as much of the county people as I can. Well, we couldn't get enough county kids
Right.
assembled to really have teams, so Trevor, John,
He was always
Dave,
looking at
you know,
Marion.
yeah, and we had several guys from Marion
Well,
that played.
I find it interesting that you said the word, the core, the two words, the core. Pete talked about that.
Yeah.
He talked about that a lot.
Oh, yeah, he used to talk about it because, you know, didn't matter who was playing, some of us was just gonna show up, you know.
We were playing in Southport one night, and it was hot, and it's halftime, and I was cramping, and John Park said, "Snipe, where would you rather be?" Well, the answer was anywhere. But I said, right here. And he said, "Do you have any guys are sitting on bar stools right now that would love to play?" And that's where they were at in the wintertime. You'd see guys who'd be like, "I'm gonna play football with you guys next year," but they never show up.
Right.
Because the sun would come out, and then they'd go back and do whatever they were doing. So there would probably been 1,000 guys that would have played, that would have liked to have played, but
And
never.
that brings up a question for me, and I've been wanting to ask it, you just brought it up. How many of you, if you were physically able, would play today?
Oh, heavens.
Every one of you, right? If you were
Without a
physically,
doubt.
right.
Yeah.
One series left.
All I ask
Four
for
down,
is
Wade,
one
four
play.
down.
Give me one play. That's all I want.
Trevor, I did bring my helmet.
I'll referee that.
Watch him.
You know, we played a lot of good caliber players, and I've told the Snyder boys know this, but I'm gonna tell you what. We practiced at Wabash High School there off the east end of the field. Well, there used to be a woods to the east side of that. So we were live in practice, and Wednesday night, I got hit, and I think I woke up Friday. And that man right there lit me up like I'd never been lit up in my life. It's like, hey, we're on the same team, buddy. But Trevor lit me up like I never got hit that hard in a game ever.
When we were doing contact drills, I would count back to see, I'll be 7, you go ahead of me. I could compete with, because you could compete with everybody on the team. You could not. I could not.
I thought I was the only kid that ever did
No,
that.
no.
The Saturday practices, though, before season started, were very intense, because
Oh, yeah.
you wanted to get spot.
Or two.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, Trevor and I had head-to-head many times,
Oh,
because, you know, I wanted to play, and he wanted to play. Everybody there had football experience. Well, majority of them. And,
Yeah.
they wanted to play. They didn't come down there and drive 50 miles to watch a bunch of guys practice. They wanted to play. So Saturday, before season started, you strapped them on, and anything goes. And a lot of trash talking going on, a lot of hard hitting, but
Well,
that's.
football today is different.
It is.
There's limited exposure, limited contact, and I that's all good. I mean, I coached it with like, and we didn't have issues with it, but back then, it was all live.
It was.
And the offense usually won the scrimmages, right, Dave?
Yeah.
I think you're right, Joe.
They're sitting far enough away from you. Yeah, we did. We welcome.
You guys remember the shed drill?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was sort of that badge of honor. And when we, as linebackers and down there at Wabash, would get the shed drill going. You got Mo, you got Johnny, and myself, and 4 or 5 others that were pretty hard hitters, you know. And the idea was just to hit that guy as hard as you could, you know, and shed him, get rid of him. Well, John came through. Oh my gosh. And I put my shoulder
Probably
down.
fell.
Fred fell.
But I put my shoulder down. I was, you know, I thought I gave him a pretty good lick, but my whole arm just went numb. I could not feel it. I had a stinger. I never had a stinger before in my life. And I looked for my arm because I thought I'd lost it. And it was completely numb. I said, trying to move it, I couldn't move it, I couldn't shake it. And in time, the feeling finally came back. But God, it just scared the Jesus out of me.
But did you tell him?
No,
Did you
not
get to
until
the-
10
Hell
minutes
no,
later.
that's all right. That's all right now.
10 years later, I told him.
Not the moment, though. You
I I wasn't gonna admit that.
All right, this brings up another point. How often do you guys get the opportunity to sit around like this and reminisce about all of that?
Not long enough.
Don't you
Not
wish?
enough, I should say.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about that, Bill. I was gonna ask, have you ever had a reunion of, you just tried to get the word out?
We did.
Some of us made it
You
back.
tried it one time, I remember.
Pete's inauguration
When
to the
Pete
Hall of
got
Fame.
into the Hall of Fame.
That's right.
Many
You
of
were
us
there.
came.
And I think that's the last time I saw you.
I kept
We
thinking
came
to
down,
myself, I know some
And
of those
he
faces.
left.
Yeah, that was,
Yes,
we
sir.
were there that
That's
night.
it.
He had-
You left.
I got it, does the-
Oh, okay,
Remember coming
okay,
down?
you would have seen
Down
it.
at the gym.
We
Rich, I
said,
don't
we
think
said
you were
about, had a
around.
great time. We had a great time.
Yeah, it was.
At that ball game.
The reason I asked, my mother and father-in-law, he played for 40 years, fast pitch softball in the Marion area. And they started a reunion.
Your brother
every- Yeah. My father-in-law.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, of anybody who played in the Marion area for any time, ever. And, you know, we used to get together and just like this, the stories, and everybody remembered them, and it just, when you talk about the intensity, I still hear it in your voices.
Yeah.
Right? You're still.
Do you also notice there was a time between then, the 80s, and now, where you were pretty darn good? Now it's like, I can play a little. I can play a little. But if you were actually out there being competitive, like I could go one more series. Yeah. Yeah.
Just one more play.
Just one.
Just one more.
Well, I think the game has changed so much, of course, in 40 years. I mean, now the big saying, speed kills, where, you know, you may have a team of 180 pounders, 190 pounders, you know, they're super fast, they're gonna do super good. But back in the 70s and 80s, I mean,
Well,
big boys from tackle to tackle, and you had a fullback like Pando that
Oh.
weighed 300 pounds.
Remember Bando?
And,
Jim
uh,
Pando.
Holy crap.
And, you know, so it's changed. It's a young man's game now, of course,
obviously.
but,
yeah.
and we're not young.
Well,
but,
I don't ever remember being in gun. I
No.
don't remember being in
No.
2x2,
No.
3x1.
Spread out
You
this
know.
whole field.
Like for a
We were under
We
center.
were under center.
We were played split back.
Tight end to tight end.
Slot back, tight end, split in.
But he
You know?
actually was. he
I
actually
mean,
was
our
running
spread
back.
was Joe, because
He
Joe
led.
ended up about 10 yards outside the formation.
Go deep, Joe, go deep.
Yeah.
And then you go out there and just go
That was
down.
before.
And we played
maybe,
a 5-2
but
or 4-3.
Yeah,
This is
and-
what
was
Steve
being
Bear's
encouraged,
saying.
get over
You
there,
may,
or come in
you
here.
may know some of
You
these
were-
guys.
You were the defensive.
So, there's a guy in here,
They
his
just,
name's
it's
Mike
different,
Good.
that's all we did,
Yeah.
5-2 or 4-3, that
Mike
was
was
it.
a
It wasn't hard to call the defense, was it?
They find him here.
You got that guy right there? I like playing those better, usually, get over there.
You know, we mentioned earlier too, Steve Bechtel, I really liked Steve.
Yeah.
Steve was a good player
Yes, he was.
and a great guy.
He was, and as a high
So
school
Mike was
player,
the
I
best.
remember,
Okay.
as
So when I
good
got
as
my
he
job,
was, he was still
I'm still
underrated.
down. I'm like,
Correct?
going
Very.
over and look.
He's
Ah, you just
just
got
a
nothing.
really good guy.
He really,
So I
he
seen
really
him 2
was.
weeks later, because we went back to playing it.
Because
I didn't get
I'll tell you
right.
what, man,
We
he
went back
had
to playing.
Fast hands.
fast hands, unbelievable fast
Yeah, my
hands.
muscle spasm
You
was
know,
broken
I
jaw.
saw
in
him
place.
that-
He said, I knew it when I looked at it, because he said, your jaw was all set. But he said, I didn't know how you'd react. I didn't want to tell you in panic yet.
Yeah.
Yep.
And,
Brad Wagner.
See, it's.
you know.
Brad's still around.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was-
Brad's still
Brad's
around.
still around.
Yeah.
He'd been
I
in
would've
the
loved to
Corps
see
all
him.
I heard.
Yes.
Marine Corps, and he was built like,
a little bit.
And you know what?
Some
He's still lifting weights and he's still built pretty good.
Yeah.
You wouldn't wanna meet him in a dark alley.
Oh, so you, are you doing teaching or something now? or-
Two
No,
guys
back
that
then.
were-
Oh, back- oh, yeah,
When I
yeah.
first heard
Yeah.
about this.
It's great.
Yeah,
Well, everybody remember Craig
He was a
Cassidy,
guard.
that offensive line,
yes, he was.
and Chris Ludy, the other
Oh, he was a
linebacker.
linebacker from
See
Manchester.
that?
And Ludy was tough, and
Yes, he
I
was.
tried to find him in South Bend.
Not a very big kid, though.
No, played at Manchester.
Yeah.
So those were two guys that
During
came into mind.
vacation.
We were talking since we talked to Steve.
That we did.
But, yeah, Passion was from Winnebago.
We just
Tell you what, that's a long drive.
Yeah.
Well,
The-
We drive it every week.
The guy I was talking about that's a halfback, Nyhauser.
Jeff Nyhauser, what was his name?
Yeah, Jeff Nyhauser is a halfback from West Central High School and Ball State University.
Joe? Yeah. You remember him?
Joe, you remember Bob True Was it True Blood? He's a kid that came from like Merrillville. He drove down here from way, way, way up the Northwest Park.
You gotta
Thought
want
he
to
was a
play.
receiver.
Oh, we had guys that drove from Bart drove from clear down south. I mean, we had guys that drove quite a ways.
Was it Keith
Brown?
Keith Brown.
Keith Brown. He still lived in Ohio and drove
Yeah.
over here and played.
Trevor, how did
Uh,
Mo ever get hooked up with Coach Rich?
That was the
Any
first,
idea?
that was the first year.
He was here the year before.
He was
Right.
in his
No, I-
exhibition year, and he was assistant coach at Huntington High School.
That
Oh, he
was
was
it.
at
That
And he
was
found
it.
out about us, and he
Yes.
never practiced with us. He showed up, and they put him in, because I was playing guard, he was playing guard in the exhibition year. Deanie White was a running back, and we didn't know who Greg Mo was any more than Deanie White did. And Deanie White didn't run the ball hard enough in a huddle in the first quarter. We didn't even know who this guy was. So Mo started coaching him, and it wasn't friendly fire.
Oh no, Mo, he cussed right to the
Right off
chase.
the field. And I'm like, okay.
Mo coached every position. He was unique in that.
Yeah.
I mean,
He was
he,
playing guard. That
he
was
knew
his
what
first-
everybody should be doing and how they
He
should be
never
doing it.
practiced with us. He just showed up.
Oh, yeah,
He-
yeah.
I didn't know he was at Huntington North.
He was,
Wow.
he was an assistant coach there.
Wasn't he from Minnesota?
Don't know.
Yes, he was. Oh,
He'd
yeah.
wrestled.
When he first played, didn't he live down south of Indy somewhere?
Well, Davies, North Davies.
North Davies.
North Davies.
Okay.
With a little 1A school down there.
Right.
He was coaching down there.
Wow.
He came with Clinton Central, did he?
Clinton Central, yeah, he was there for a few years.
I remember
Now, do
Mo
you-
told me the story. I said, I'd always ask him, how'd you do? You know, go in there Saturday. Greg, how'd you do last night? Oh, man, we killed him. We played. So who'd you play? And they played Duger.
Duger.
And Duger was the smallest school in Indiana.
Football.
So,
It
two or
wasn't
three
the best
weeks,
football.
about 2
Right
or 3
corner
weeks
from
later,
Lydic.
Greg, how'd you do last
Yeah.
night? He said, oh, we killed him. I said, who'd you play? He said, Duger. So they took him twice in 1 year.
So,
Mo,
so they were 2-8.
he would see him coach, he'd have his clipboard stuck in his back like Woody Hayes,
Yeah.
and he'd always be spitting.
Yeah.
You know, he always had it, I don't know if he was dipping or what, but he always had
There's
to
a-
see it.
there's
He'd have
an
his
image.
short sleeve shirt, could be 40 below, he'd be out there with
Tie.
with a shirt and tie,
Uh-huh.
clipboard stuck in his pants in the back like Woody Hayes. So it was,
He got kicked out. We were playing Garrett. When he was at Garrett, he got kicked out of the game.
Mhm.
And he wouldn't shut his mouth, and we were doing pretty well. And
Oh, boy.
they kicked him out, and he would refuse. He went to the edge of the field, so they stopped the game. And then he went off the edge of the field to like the fence, and they finally made his AD come and get him and take him
Yeah.
to the locker room, and because he refused to leave.
Is that when he flipped him off? I
uh,
think he flipped off the visiting.
I'm sure he probably did.
Yeah. He got in trouble for that.
Well,
Yeah. Yeah, that's a trip down to Indianapolis.
There you go.
He's had many.
Yeah.
You know, great coach, great guy, but he had a temper and, you know, how he was.
Yeah.
he was associate AD or something at that time after he retired, and
Yeah.
May was the head coach, and
Yeah.
we beat them at Garrett. And he goes, and there's a bunch of, I mean, there's families everywhere, and he goes, hey, Snyder, you guys aren't that good, are you? Because we suck. I'm like, I don't know. I'm walking.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to Burgess and Hooley? Those are the Manchester
I
boys
don't
that
never-
came down.
Well-
He recruited those guys. I mean, I thought this, Steve Burgess was,
Dave.
Marcus or
Dave.
something, the way
Dave.
Dave
Yeah.
Burgess.
Dave Burgess.
Dave's-
Well,
And,
and
They
Steve,
passed away
Hooley.
probably 15 years
He
ago.
did.
Dave Burgess did?
No.
Okay, I didn't know that.
He owned a business in Manchester.
I'll be
His son still runs it. His son was a pretty good football player at Manchester High School.
and they don't understand Hooley.
Well, Hooley, I think,
Hooley was a
Coffee.
Manchester University guy. He wasn't a
he was at
Manchester
university.
guy.
No,
He was
Yeah.
at high school.
but I think he ended up in Alaska. And I heard, and I'm trying to remember, I don't know this is 100% true, but I heard that Stan was part of the management team that ran the Iditarod.
You mentioned, you
That'd
said
be
that.
interesting.
You said that. I remember you said that. Huh.
Well, fellas, we're gonna have to close this up, but yes, sir, go ahead.
Special thanks to you guys
Yeah.
for having us.
Well, thank
I mean,
you.
Oh, my
this is really good guys that are like
Yeah.
70 years old and to do something to bring back,
Man, I'm
all-
only 67.
Some of us are 70, okay?
Yeah, you older
You
guys.
guys don't probably realize what this does for all of us. Because as you get older in life, your world gets pretty small and you have memories.
Yes.
Memories of this, memories of that. And you guys gave us a chance today to to bring that back, and I want to say thank you. very
Yes.
much.
Well,
You guys
thank
for
you.
doing it.
and thank you guys, because I come from the big town of Rising Sun, Indiana.
Been
We've
there.
never lost in football. And then I got married Lisa, and her birthday's today, and was transplanted
that's
in
right.
Wabash County. And, you know, I hear bits and pieces about this from my brother-in-law Lane Custer, who played for the Generals, but I didn't realize the depth of what you guys had here, and it's pretty special.
Parts, you make me feel good. That makes me the youngest guy in the room.
That is
Because,
true.
you know, I got a great rapport with all you guys. Don't see you often enough. Kind of had lost track with Trevor. Trevor and I had done a little hunting a few times back in the day. Played fast pitch softball with these three guys, with Steve and Jimmy and Bill, and I've known Coach McClure for, well, like he was saying earlier, when I was still in high school, I worked for his in-laws out on the farm.
Yep.
And great people. Old Merle could be pretty cantankerous at times.
He can be
Uh,
direct.
But, and I've told this story, but he sent me after something one day, and I went and looked, and I said, man, if I go back and I don't have that, he's gonna chew my bottom.
Yeah.
And he did, and he said, it's right where in the same, I told you. Well, I said, well, come with me. So we go back, look in, he walks in there, and he opens that door, it's not there. And he goes, walk out of that building, go to the other little building, opens the door, and it's behind that door. He goes, and at 11:45, you were in the house, cleaned up, ready for lunch, because
Yeah.
Betty Ann had lunch ready.
A real.
Yeah, and we get, so this is like 11:30. He goes, we've been working pretty hard. We better just go wash our hands, get ready for lunch. That was his way of apologizing. And then you ate a full course meal. But
They go back.
great thing. So I've known a lot of these guys. Alan and I have been friends ever since shortly after high school. So
Well, thanks for putting all this together and getting all these
Yeah,
guys
thanks,
here.
Steve.
too.
Big hand for Steve.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
guys.
Well, and from our standpoint, guys, this is exactly, when Bill called me and Coach and Rick, this is exactly what we wanted. Originally, the name was gonna be Talking Sports Then and Now. We shortened it, but this is exactly what we wanted, and I think out of all our programs, this has been as good as any, because you guys have made it.
Yeah.
I think it'd be worth a return visit somewhere down the line.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's do this again, tell your buddies.
The thing is,
We
Yeah.
need
thing
more
is-
guys, and
Yeah.
where's Dwayne Norton? Is he still in town?
He's still in town.
Dwayne's in Ossian.
Oh, he's out. Okay,
lives
that's
in
right.
Ossian.
Because one of the boys moved up there, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't ask me which boy, but he's not saying. Dwayne knows about this, but
I'd love to
Dwayne
see
is
him.
not in good. I tell you what, you want to do, let's meet and go see him. Because Dwayne's not real mobile, he's not able to go do things.
Okay.
And if anybody wants to get together and go see him, I think he would welcome that, but I wouldn't just show up, I will schedule it with him.
Is Tom Bumgarner still alive?
Yes.
Bummy's
Yeah,
still
yes.
alive.
Bummy's around.
Bring his son to the gate practice, you know?
Scott.
Little guy.
Yeah, little Bummy.
Yep.
So they got it.
That's Scott's dad.
Yeah. Had worked at the car dealer.
Yep,
Yep.
retired.
I was just
Married.
on the phone with him a couple days ago.
Were ya?
Were ya?
Yeah, I still work on his car and stuff.
Good,
Cool.
Yeah.
good.
Well, guys, thanks for coming, we appreciate
All
it.
right, thank you.
We will do this again.
No, that'd be great.
Next month, we've got, right before Christmas, we've got Brian Tonsoni, who used to be a coach here in Wabash County. He's gonna come and talk to us. He's retiring from teaching, and he's taken that day off to come spend some time with us. So we will see you at this time next month, right here on Talkin' Sports. Thank you, fellas.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Why don't you look
didn't
at
realize.
things
Oh, okay.
real quick.